India Institute of Management Studies has always kept a wonderful relationship with Thrissur Management Association. Today, we all are gathered here for the TMA SIMS Student Chapter Monthly Activities. I welcome you all for this program. To make this event a success, we have some eminent personalities with us today. Let me invite our chief guest of the day, Ms. Meera K, Kerala topper and All India 6th rank holder in UPSC 2020 in prestigious Indian Civil Services. I welcome you, ma'am. I invite Engineer Vinod Manila, CEO of Double Horse and President of Thrissur Management Association, onto the dais. Welcome, sir. I would like to invite Coordinator of TMA Student Chapter Activities, CMA Madhu AP. I welcome you, sir. I invite Mr. Sriram K, Managing Director of Allied Group of Industries. Welcome, sir. I invite Honorary Secretary of Thrissur Management Association, Engineer Francis George. Welcome, sir. Let me invite our own Director, Dr. George AP, and our Executive Director, Reverend Father Dr. Gino Joni Malekaran, onto the dais. To begin this function, let us invoke the blessings of Almighty. Let me invite the SIMS choir to lead the prayer. Kindly rise.
You are my strength when I am weak. You are the treasure that I seek. You are my all in all. Seeking you as a precious jewel, Lord, to give up I'd be a fool. You are my all in all. Jesus, Lamb of God, worthy is your name. Jesus, Lamb of God, worthy is your name.
First, let me invite our Director, Dr. George AP, for the welcome speech. George, sir, please.
We commenced our physical classes yesterday, and we have very eminent personalities. A proud feeling that I have with us today, this on the second day. Dear students, I can express you the extent of happiness that I have on this particular day. Right? Miss Meera, as we heard, the national topper, the 6th rank holder, is here with us. Engineer Vinod Manila, Chairman Double Group, the Double Horse Group, is here with us. Sri Sriram, Allied Group, Managing Director is with us. Now, so all these respected people we can see, Francis George, Mr. Madhu, all are representing powerful corporations. Right? On the second day of your physical interaction, what else we require? So this gives me immense pleasure and great pride of gratitude for having given such an opportunity to us to have this interaction here. Thank you, TMA, Vinod sir, Francis sir. Before we start with thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to have such a wonderful day. Dear students, Miss Meera here, she will be talking on her success story. Something to model, something to emulate, right? Something to target. I won't say that you would be turning out to be the civil servant aspirant. The only message is try to get what exactly you want. Like the dream, culmination of the dream, achievement of the dream. That's what she has been showing to us continuous, consistent performance, determination, and grabbing it. And she has become a model for us. I'm very sure she has been invited by many people, a day with governor, a day with chief minister, a day with the prime minister. Imagine, all of a sudden, you are at the zenith of your glory, achievement, and excellence level. I'm having that feeling that all of you, it's a joyful moment for us, right? To be, to have that gratitude, to have that ambition, to have that dream, to sharpen your idea. I want to be someone in this with a different tagline, different identity. That's what your objective should be. All right, I'm thankful. Even before we start with this, my responsibility of welcoming everyone, I wanted to share with this the moment of joy to all of you. Right. So let me get to this, my task of welcoming everybody. Dear students, we know that this institution belongs to the Irinjalakuda Diocesan Education Trust, a great visionary institution. To represent this great institution, we have Dr. Father Gino Joni Malakaran, our Executive Director, with us. Right, he's the president of this function. So on behalf of all of you, let me welcome our Reverend Dr. Gino Joni Malakaran to this function. We have our TMA president and double horse chairman, engineer Vinod Manjila, with us. A very dynamic person, very simple person. Now, dear students, he is an engineer from Manipal Group of Institution. He has done his MBA from TA Pai Institute of Management Studies. It's one of the prestigious institutions, holding multiple degrees in this. And even before, though he belongs to a big group, the Double Horse Group, you are very, very familiar with, right? He even worked with the Tally Solutions, right, to have the experience of the corporate. And a very, very dynamic person. I love him because of his charming personality, the way he approached, the way his attitude, right? And he has become the president of the TMA, in which we are the institutional member. I'm very proud to associate with and express my great gratitude that Vinod sir is here with us. And on behalf of all of you, I very heartily welcome Engineer Vinod Manjila to this function. Now, the star of the day, Miss Meera K is here with us. Right, we have seen she is also an engineer by profession. I would say that she chose mechanical engineering for her degree studies, BTech in mechanical engineering. One of the rarest things, usually women do not prefer. She ventured into that from the Government Engineering College, Thrissur, successfully completed, then started working with L&T, Bangalore. So she has a corporate experience. After that, this particular call came. No, I wanted to grab this. I wanted to become an IAS person here. And with that ambition, she pursued her studies. And in the fourth attempt, she would say that, fourth attempt, she grabbed it, preferred only for IAS, and is now standing before us with the 6th national rank. You can see on her face, it's such a simple lady, right? Very humble, very pleasant, right? She gives the message, consistency is very important. Right? Consistency is very important. Hard work, smart work is important. Be determined. You will get it. Competition, she has made competition insignificant. Right? With that determination. And the tag is here. And enjoying the privilege of having with the great personalities and the top people in India, including the Prime Minister. I don't know whether that meeting has been concluded or not, or is yet to schedule. For the first 10 rank holders would get this rare opportunity to meet the Prime Minister. A day with the Prime Minister. I don't know whether it's been done, or definitely she'll be getting that. So it's a great moment for us. Let me welcome wholeheartedly Miss Meera K to this institution on behalf of all of you. Thank you so much for your presence here, Miss Meera. Yeah. We have the Honorary Secretary of Thrissur Management Association, Mr. Francis George. he also comes with a lot of experience in corporates. Top is Microsoft-like corporations, vice presidents, Singapore, foreign countries. You know how many foreign countries he has worked in top positions in corporates. Right, he has become the honorary secretary of Thrissur Management Association. Dear students, it's a prestigious moment. I would say these are great people out here. This is a great institution with a lot of great personalities, charming personalities, great corporate people who can share, groom you with a lot of experiences, a lot of lessons, I would say. Francis George, a very proud moment for us to welcome you to this function. We have Mr. K. Sriram, Managing Director of Elite Group. Another occasion, as I mentioned. Dear students, let us proudly welcome Elite Group. I don't want to tell you about this. Right, they are all proud brands of Kerala, proud multinational brands. Right, these people who are sitting here in this side are real proud icons of Kerala. Respect them. Right, so we're really very proud to have such type of people here. So on behalf of all of you, my institution, I extend a very hearty welcome to Sriram sir. We have CMA Madhu. He is the coordinator of Thrissur, our student coordinator. All of you are aware that Thrissur has student chapters, student chapters. We are also a student chapter. On this occasion, it has been open to all the student chapters of Thrissur Management Association. This program is seen by everybody, and it's the live YouTube is been there. People are joining, and not only that, you attending this, several other people are joining this. So, Madhus, I think some relation also with Meera. Yeah, Sriram. Yeah, Sriram is relating with, okay. And Madhu, on behalf of the entire family of SIMS, I extend you a very hearty welcome to this function. Now, it's time for me to welcome everybody, rather than taking the names, my faculty, dear colleagues. The coordinator of this is TMA student chapter, SIMS chapter is Anthony sir. Right, he is the person who is arranging all this. And all my faculty colleagues out here, and all those who are attending this function, other chapters, dear faculty members of other institutions, whoever is joining here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this August gathering and function. And above all this, it's a great privilege for us to say, being with Ms. Meera, it's our humble prayer and wish that she has been already achieved the highest position. Now, what makes the difference is the roles and responsibilities that will come to her, and the way she performs, she converts herself, translating those roles into reality so that it touches the several hearts of the people, making them happy and very proud about our country, this particular lady. Okay, so this moment, I am signing off with welcoming once again to all of you to this function. Thank you so much once again. Make it a great day. My story, she will tell you my success story. Please interact, emulate, model, and have a strong determination that you too become a great contributor to your country and to your family and to this institution. Thank you so much. Welcoming all of you once again to this.
Thank you, sir. We welcome you too to this function. Now, I would like to invite our Executive Director, Reverend Father Dr. Gino Joni Malekaran, for the presidential address.
Good morning, one and all. Chief guest of the day, Ms. Meera, and President of Thrissur Management Association, Mr. Vinod Manyala, honorable dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, my faculty colleagues and students. Sahyadri Institute of Management Studies, glad and privileged to have a national level UPSC topper and this institute on this day. We especially thank Trichy Management Association for arranging this platform. And at the outset, we should congratulate Meera for securing this, the best achievement in her life. And this nation is really proud about her, and our state is proud about her, and we all happy about, and we are really looking forward to see the kind of changes that would happen through her interventions. We wish you all the best, Meera. Now, this young lady is presented before you as a big source of inspiration. And being management students, let me also remind you a theory which you may learn in your management program. We have a theory named MBO, Management by Objectives. I'm aware that you know it very well, but to help you with, we all set certain objectives, and we do manage our employees by setting those objectives. We monitor them, we assess them, we encourage them to reach or to achieve those objectives. That is the simple concept which very popularly or widely used in industries. And here you have a person who dreamt, okay, one day I will be a very significant member in this society who can actually make powerful interventions in this society and in this nation to make some changes. Rather than, while you are listening to the success story, I'll also ask you to pay attention to the unfinished steps or like incomplete steps that happened in between these journeys, where she stood very strong and firm and very much self-driven until she reached that point. In our own life, let it be a student or a faculty or an industrialist or an academician, in everybody's life, we must have a point where we will say, yes, this is the thing which I really want to achieve. Maybe with an MBA student would say, after 2 years, I will be a proud employee of this particular corporate or a company. That is the dream you are carrying. And a lot of hard work, the amount of hard work or smart work, courage, perseverance, consistency, motivation, what all things you require to reach that point, to guide yourself with that sort of an energy, I believe today's session would help every one of us. While congratulating her, we look forward to listen to you, and I don't want to steal much of her time on this occasion. Of course, I also thank Trichy Management Association student chapter. It's very much alive and active in almost all the B schools in Trichy region. And here it is very special. From the very first batch, we do remember our students who are very active. And TM actually provides a platform where you can easily interact very much informally with all top class industrialists. And they are very happy to share their experience. They're very happy to handhold you and walk you through the journey of being a great manager. And for all those occasions, I do thank, on behalf of my students and faculty colleagues, I do thank Trichy Management Association. And I wish you a great day, and we eagerly look forward to listen. Meera, once again, congratulations, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. I would like to invite the President of Trichy Management Association, Engineer Vinod Manjula sir, to inaugurate this event. Sir, please.
Good morning, one and all. It's so nice to see you all back into campus. I've been to this institute many a times, and there's so much of energy in this campus. And unfortunately, for the last 1.5 years, we missed that. And so nice to see you all back. The Executive Director of SIMS, Reverend Father Dr. Gino Johnny, Director George AP of SIMS, Director. The chief guest and the star of the day, Ms. Meera. Our dynamic student chapter coordinator, CMA Madhu. Elite Industries Director, Mr. Sriram. And my Honorable Secretary, Francis George. Faculty and students of this institute. And thanks to COVID, we have come to this concept of hybrid meetings, and institutes, around 20 institutes across Thrissur are watching this program. So I give you my greetings. At the outset, I would like to start by congratulating Ms. Meera for this great achievement. This is something we all of us are so proud of. She's become the icon of Kerala youth. And few years down from here, she will grow up the ladder of great institutions of Kerala. And through her interventions, she can make a great impact to the society at large. I hope and pray by the interaction she's going to have with you all, she inspires you all through her story. I'm sure she will have a lot to say about her hard work, dedication, persistence. And we hope that we have many more Meeras in the coming from Kerala. So congratulations, Meera. TMA has a long relationship with SIMS, as Father Juno had mentioned. It is more than 5 years that we have been having association with SIMS. And we have run prestigious programs like All India Management Association's Management Olympiad. And we plan to do many more programs and interact with SIMS. The whole objective is there is a difference between studying theory and the practical knowledge that is required in the industry. And here in TMA, we would like to bridge the gap by having more interactions with you all. In fact, this year, our student coordinator, Mr. Madhu, has envisaged a lot of programs. And I'm sure you will benefit from these programs. This year, we plan to start around 20 institutions under TMA, covering around 1,000 students. And we have inaugurated this program this month with our chief guest as Mr. Matthew Joseph of Fresh to Home. And we have started a startup award. I mean, some of you all would have missed that program. That's why I'm just mentioning it here. Where if you have a startup plan, you can take part in this contest. You get a 1 lakh prize money. Apart from that, they'll give you training in Kerala Maker Village. This is part of the Kerala Startup Mission. And similarly, if you just give an idea loan, the prize money is 50,000 for the winner. And you get a 2 months training. So the whole idea here is to convert you from the traditional job seekers to job providers. So try to take part in that particular event. So I would not like to take too much time. So hope you all have a great year, and do interact with Meera and make it lively. Thank you.
Now, let me invite the coordinator of TMA Student Chapter Activities, CMA Madhu AP, to give a brief about the student chapter activities and to introduce the chief guest to the audience. Sir, please.
Warm good morning to all. Good morning to all. Good morning, good morning. Respected President of TMA, Engineer Vinod Manjula, Executive Director, Reverend Father Dr. Gino Johnny, Honorable Secretary of TMA, Engineer Francis, Director, Dr. George, Group Director of Elite and Managing Director of Hampshire Consultants, K. Sriram. Star of the day, dearest Meera, and my dear students. I'm extremely happy to stand before you as the coordinator of TMA Students Chapter. One among the visions of our dear President, Engineer Vinod Manjula, is empowering youth. So, as he was referring, we know that there is the expectation of industry and the caliber of students coming out. There is a gap, especially from the practical angle. So we thought, as pointed out, to reduce that gap as far as possible. So we are coming out with so many activities, which is basically the aim, the objective is to reduce this gap of expectation of the industry and the skill of the students. So we are coming out with the slogan of cash generation. What is cash? Cash is enriching your knowledge. K stands for knowledge. A stands for attitude. And S stands for the skills. And H for good habits. So we will try maximum to enrich you with all these parameters. So we are coming out with mentorship services. We are coming out with backup for startups or supporting for startups. Then business plan, business quiz, then training for GD, training for interview. We will try our best. So I request all of you to actively participate. Let us collectively bridge this gap. So all the best to all of you. Second is introducing our chief guest, Meera. You know, success is not an accident. Success will never come accidentally. It is because of the sincere effort you are putting for your learning and skillfully executing what you learned. And moreover, to foresee the future and to come out of the obstacles in front of you, converting that into opportunities. So the biggest example is in front of you is Meera only. Daughter of K. Radhika and K. Ramdas. She have done her studies, schooling in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, then went to Trishur Engineering College, completed mechanical engineering, then worked with in Bangalore, L&T, for 2 years or 3 years, then pursued IAS in 2018. We all know, try. So she has achieved her success in 4th attempt, never quit. Just like we were talking about ants. Ants will never quit. If you put one finger in the line of ant, they will go either top of your finger or side by, they will never quit. So even ant can do, right? So I'm not taking much of a time because I know you are eagerly waiting for the start of the day. So let me take this opportunity and let me introduce in front of you the pride of Trishur, pride of Kerala, pride of India, Miss Meera. Thank you very much for a patient hearing.
Miss Meera is already introduced, and it is indeed a pleasure to have someone who can be a model for all of us. I would like to invite our chief guest of the day, Miss Meera K, Kerala topper and 6th rank holder in UPSC 2020 for the keynote address. Ma'am, please.
Respected dignitaries on and off the dais and my dear friends, a very good morning to one and all. I am not going to speak a lot, like the keynote address is not going to be very long because I would like to keep the majority of my time for interaction with each one of you so that I can spend more time with you. Because you might have already heard what I have to say for the past couple of months. So I'll keep it very brief. So everyone is talking about my success and I was asked to share my success story here. But that is not something I would like to talk a lot about. What I would like to talk about is the story of my failures. Because those failures, I've been preparing for the last 3 years and I've been facing failures continuously in this examination and in a lot of areas. And those failures are the ones who, molded my success. And asked me to come here and sit here today. A few months back, I was in this very institute. I was here to write an examination on air traffic control. I was here to write that exam, and I failed in that exam. And I think that one failure actually didn't define me. Or I've been facing continuous failures in a lot of examinations, and I think that is the paving stone to my success today. So today I would like to talk to you about my failures. And this was never my dream, getting into civil service. I always wanted to get into the Indian Air Force. My grandfather, he was an Indian Air Force veteran. He used to tell me a lot of stories about the Air Force days, and I always wanted to serve in the Indian Air Force. I even attempted the AFCAT after my engineering degree. I even got an SSB call. I attended the SSB. I cleared the SSB. So that is something that is, very unique. That doesn't happen to a lot of people. So I thought I've succeeded. But then they called me for the medical examination. And then what happened was I was diagnosed with a condition called flat feet. So if you know what is flat feet, you'll not be able to run very fast, or your leg will break very easily. And I was rejected. I couldn't get into the Indian Air Force, and I didn't have a plan B. So my whole dream, from 5th standard, 6th standard, I've been dreaming of getting into the Indian Air Force, wearing that uniform, flying. And that was shattered in a day, and for no fault of my own. I couldn't change my feet. There was no cure for flat feet. So I thought I failed. My dream was gone. I don't have a plan B. I don't know where I should go. So that is when I luckily got a campus placement in L&T, and I went there. But in between, in my college days and in my school days, something else was happening on the sidelines. I got into quizzing. I got into a lot of other activities. I've been here in this very campus for your Tech Fest to participate in the quizzing events. And something was changing inside me. One thing I realized was that if not Air Force, I'll find another way to serve my country. And I realized that civil service is a great opportunity to do the same. So that is when I thought, during my college days also, I had this okay, civil service is also a good option. So I'll consider it. And then during my working days, I thought I'll give my first attempt. I'll just go and give a trial attempt. I failed it, obviously, because nobody, we are not superheroes to clear civil service prelims without preparing. I failed it. But one thing I realized again was that, yes, if I prepare a bit for this, I can clear the next prelims. So I quit my job. Again, society was calling me a failure because I quit a job too soon. We have a society where girls are supposed to, join for work, get married by 25, 26, produce kids, and then lead a happy life. And that is the epitome of success for them. So I was again a failure there. I didn't follow the conventional way. I quit my job, I came to Trivandrum, and I was again a failure in the family because I failed to turn up in family events. I was, not the ideal kid to be looked upon. Failure. Then again, I gave my first serious attempt. In 2018, I started preparing. I thought I've covered everything, I've studied well. I gave my first attempt. I cleared prelims that year. So if you know this examination, there are 3 stages to this exam. There is a prelims, there is a mains, and there is an interview. And this happens over a span of 8 months, 8 to 9 months. You have a lot of syllabus to cover. You have history, geography, economics, etc. And me coming from an engineering background, I really struggled to get a grasp of all these subjects. But then somehow I did it. I took my first serious attempt. I cleared the prelims. I cleared the mains, and I was like, okay, now I'm succeeding, finally. Something good is happening. I went to the interview, I was fully confident. But something has happened in between. My grandmother, she was the one who raised me because my parents were working all the time. So she suffered a stroke, and she was bedridden. And I couldn't prepare for my interview very well. And I failed the interview by 12 marks. I couldn't clear the cutoff that year. By 12 marks. So again, a failure. And again, for no fault of my own, because I couldn't get enough time to prepare. But still, I thought, this is my first serious attempt. Nobody clears this examination in 1 or 2 attempts. I reached till the interview stage, and I missed the cutoff by a very small margin. So if I persist one more time, I can clear this. So I started preparing again for the next prelims. I hardly had 1 month. Again, some personal losses happened in between. I had to travel from here to Trivandrum and back, and a lot of issues happened. And I missed the prelims cutoff by 1 mark. So if you know, again, as I said, this is an 8 to 9 month process. If you miss an examination, if you miss at any stage, you have to wait for another year for the examination to start again. So the next prelims was 1 year away and I didn't know what to do. I missed the prelims. Again, society deems you a failure when you fail at any stage, and nobody knows about this examination, you know, the level of difficulty or the competition that is there. If you fail it, you are deemed as you have not studied enough or you're not good enough to clear this. So that is what the society tells you. And this started happening. The stress got into me. I started binge eating junk food. I gained a lot of weight. I reached some 75 kilos in weight. I was very unhealthy. My apartment, it was in the first floor and and my lift was not working and I couldn't even climb the stairs during that time because I was getting overweight and I was very unhealthy. I was binge watching web series, crying all the time, and the stress started getting into me. I even stopped visiting family. Sriram, he is my uncle. He might not have seen me for 1 year in that 2019 phase. I stopped visiting everyone. I didn't even visit my family, my parents at home. I stayed in Trivandrum. I cried for days. And, you know, after some time I thought that, okay, I'll get up now because the prelims is nearing again. I wasted some 6-7 months. The prelims was about to commence. Okay, I'll start preparing. I have one more chance and I don't have a plan B again. I don't have an alternate career. I left my corporate, and you from management studies, you might know it very well that it's very difficult to re-enter the corporate world if you have a 2-3 year gap, career gap. So I thought, okay, I'll give one more prelims, I'll try again, and I started preparing. And that is when the coronavirus happened. You know, the examination, it was postponed. You don't know when the exam was going to happen again, if at all it will happen, if we are all going to die or not. And we don't know if there is a cure for this or not. That stressful time of peak corona, first lockdown happened. I was again stuck in Trivandrum. I was stuck inside my head, where again all these questions will come. You know, you are going to, what if this exam gets postponed for another year? You are going to have a 4-year career gap. Again, it's going to be a very difficult thing to bridge. So I started appearing or applying for other examination, and that is how I turned up at the air traffic control examination also. But then again the exam came. Luckily for us, the vaccines came, and you know, lockdown was eased, and the exam happened on time. I went for the prelims, I did well. I went for the mains, I cleared, and finally I went for the interview, and now I'm here getting a 6th rank. So this is the story of my failure. So, thank you. And I'm not saying that I've succeeded, because everyone is saying I've reached the, you know, zenith of success and I've achieved everything that I want to in my life. I've not. Because the thing about success is that when you achieve a goal, you realize that the goalpost has changed. There is something new to achieve now. Now that I've achieved a 6th rank, my aim is not at all to get into civil service, but to be a good civil servant. To do something good for the society and to use my capacity to make a positive change in the society. There is this famous dialogue from a movie, with great power comes great responsibility. So that is my stage now. The initial sir was asking me, how did you feel once you find your name in the list? I felt really happy. I felt at peace that I'm not jobless anymore. But after a few hours, the reality started sinking in, that I am going to get into the civil service. I'm going to be an IS officer. One small decision or one wrong decision I make can impact the life of hundreds of people. It can be the reason why Mullaperiyar Dam might burst another day, a decision I make. And that kind of responsibility scares you or humbles you. And then your success in an examination doesn't matter anymore. Your success as a civil servant is what is more important. Now, I would like to revisit the story that I told right now, that I told you a story about my failures. I'll go back. I'm going to bore you a bit by repeating the same thing, but then I'll tell you how it led me to my success today. Had I cleared the medical by some error of the doctor, and had I got into Air Force, I would have been a very big liability to the Indian Air Force. I would not have been a good officer. I wouldn't be able to do the bare minimum physical task that was required. And I would have been one day the reason for some mishap that happened in the Air Force and bring some issues to the system. So I'm thankful that that didn't happen, that I didn't clear it that year, or that I was properly medically rejected that year by the Honorable Medical Board. Then I wouldn't consider my first attempt a failure because that was again a trial attempt. But in 2018, had I bridged that 12-mark gap, I would have gotten into service. I would have got some rank. But then I wouldn't have got the rank of my preference, and that wouldn't have led me to the service of my preference. That would have given me some service in some area of the government. There are, if you see, there are many services. It's not just the IAS, IPS, and the IFS. There are many other services. I would have gotten comfortable, and then the voices of society might have pushed me in another direction. You know, now that you've got into service, get married, have kids, lead a good life, and you have the power of and the glory of being a civil servant also, without getting into IAS. But that didn't happen because I missed out by 12 marks. So I'm very glad that that happened in 2018. And in 2019, if I had cleared the prelims, I would have gotten into the cycle again. I just hardly had 1 month to prepare from the 2018 interview to the 2019 prelims. And I wouldn't get enough time to introspect on my mistakes. I wouldn't get enough time to take some rest, travel, correct my mistakes, change my strategy, plan accordingly, study well, and then give a good attempt. This time wouldn't have been there for me if I had cleared the 2019 prelims. Even if I had failed in the 2019 mains or 2019 interview, I wouldn't have got this kind of time. And that time was very crucial for the success in my 2020 attempt. So when I look back, I realized that the 2019 1-mark failure, which I thought I failed in my life again, that was not a failure at all. That was in fact the biggest turning point in my life, which contributed to such a good rank in the service or in this examination. And then 2020 this happened, and now I have succeeded by the standards of this examination. If I do really become a successful civil servant or not is for the time to tell. So what you should do is that you should not be very, now that you have achieved success, you can sit simply, because the real test will start now for me and for every one of you once you have achieved the dream position. So, yeah. So what I want to tell you is that there will be points in your life when you feel that you've failed, when you'll feel that you're stuck somewhere, that there is no way out. But do realize that, hindsight is always 20/20. So one day when you look back, you'll realize that these points of failure will be the biggest turning points of your life, because that is what is going to mold your success. I was a student who scored very well in my 10th standard, 12th standard. I got a good rank in the engineering entrance examination. I got into GEC. I was an 8-pointer there. I got into L&T. But these were not measures of my success, or these were very small contributing factors to my success. The biggest contributing factors to my success were always my failures. So what I would like to tell you is that do embrace your failures. Wait for failures to happen so that you can turn that into the biggest success points of your life. Yes, I hope that is enough for philosophy for today. We can keep the rest of the time for interacting with each one of you. First, I would like to thank the Sahridaya Institute of Management Studies and Trichur Management Association for giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk and interact with each one of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspirational story. We are proud for this moment, and we are really fortunate to have these inspiring words. Now it's time for you students to interact with Meera ma'am. You can ask your questions to ma'am. Ma'am, hope you can spend some time to interact and answer the questions of students. Students, please.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
My name is Liz Maria. First of all, I'm fortunate to interact with such a personality who have cleared one of the most difficult selection process in the world. My first question is that what are the changes that has occurred in your life in recent past few days? And I want to know how you feel about being a civil servant, or as you said, you had so many problems like voices of society that try to break you. Then how do you feel to be an independent woman?
So the first part, what has changed in my life? So this is the change in my life. So last few months, last February I was here. I was a normal student like you. I was standing in a queue there to write that examination. Nobody gave me any bouquet or welcome speech. I was not welcomed anywhere with drinks and coffee and nice snacks. So this is the biggest change in my life right now. But yeah, another thing, as I told, this has made me a lot more serious, I feel. So at first I thought that once this examination is over and I clear it, I'll start enjoying my life. I'll go for trips and I'll, be very happy and at peace. But that's not what is happening. Right now I'm very serious and I'm very humbled by the number of wishes that I'm getting and the responsibility that I'm about to take. The seriousness of it is finally dawning on me. So that is the biggest change, I would say. And how did I respond to the voices in society and become an independent woman? I think we all are independent women. Clearing this examination doesn't make you an independent woman. You all are, and I'm very happy to see the representation of women folk here. You're in the management studies, and that itself is testimony to the fact that you're all very independent. But how I responded was that one thing I avoided it. I was in my Trivandrum flat. I didn't, listen to the voices of society. They can only harm you as long as you listen to it or listen to them. And then there is this, you can have, it's not called arrogance, but it's a kind of confidence inside you that whatever others are saying, it doesn't matter. Because ultimately what matters is what you, your family and your immediate friends think about you, and nothing else really matters in life. So that I had that kind of thought in my head. And one more thing I did was that wherever I could, I gave answers. So when they asked me that what are you doing, I said I'm preparing for the civil service examination. And when are you get married? I said I'm not planning to get married in the recent time. And then I don't think they'll press you further. So if it's like, okay, let me think about it, and I'm like, we'll see in the process. Girls are socially conditioned to respond in that way. You're not conditioned to give straight answers, to the point answers. You're supposed to be meek, you're supposed to be underconfident, and you're supposed to be shy. And that is not something you should be. You should give strong, to the point answers to the questions of society, and they'll stop bothering you. That is what I feel. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hi ma'am, myself Archit, and first of all congratulations on your great achievement.
Thank you.
My question to you is, for reaching this success you have to face a lot of sacrifices and hard work, and you may get distracted in that way, or you have to face a lot of challenges as you mentioned. So how do you tackle all that and focus on your goal? And also you said you were 75 kilos some time, but you don't look now. So how do you also change that?
Yeah, how do you deal with the distractions and pressures and stress? One thing was that I planned accordingly. So I planned break days, I planned days for breakdown, I planned days for crying. And then I realized that 1 day or 2 days you waste, third day you'll feel very motivated that you've wasted such a lot of time. Now that you can go back and prepare. So that is one thing I used to do. And second thing was that I had a very good support system. I found a very good support system. Nobody has a good support system on its own. You have to find it. I had it in my family. I had it in my friends. I sought help from them. I even sought medical help when I needed it. I was saying about crying and my weight was gaining. So I went to a doctor. I asked him what is wrong with me. And he asked me to get my blood work done. And I realized that I had a vitamin D deficiency because I was sitting inside all the time. And that is leading to depression and, weight gain and everything. So I took supplements. So that is the thing, whenever you're facing troubles, there is always help available around you. You just have to seek it out. That is what I did. And my weight loss, that is when I started practicing yoga. I went for walks and runs. And I was a person who couldn't climb even, I couldn't climb stairs that time, but then now I can easily run a half marathon. And this didn't happen in a day, it happened over a span of 6 to 8 months. But then I started eating well, I started cooking my own food. And now I'm like this, from 75 to 58. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi ma'am, myself Naveen. Yeah. My question is, as common citizens, we have some expectations from the civil servants. I am sure that you also have some idea about the way they behave. What do you think about the behavioral changes you need to make in yourself to be a good civil servant?
That's a very good question because I've not really thought about it. But yeah, one thing I feel is that you have to be very patient because there are a lot of people coming to you. Every day you'll have to interact with hundreds of people. And you have to hear everyone out. You have to be patient with them, and they might not be very verbal, or they might not be very good at talking, because these are very common people, and the notion that common people have of a civil servant is that they can't open their mouth in front of them. So you have to be you have to come down to their level and make them at ease so that they can open up to you. So that is one thing that I have to learn, because these days what happens is you are just one person who is interacting with hundreds of other people. But for them, it's about their whole life. They might be with some issue about their pensions or about their life, and one good response from you might change their life. So learning patience, learning humility, trying to understand everyone, empathy, and that simplicity, keeping the simplicity. Because once you start getting all these functions and welcomes everywhere, success might start getting into your head, and you'll feel that you have become a great person now. But that's not the case, or that shouldn't be the case, I feel. You have to still be a common man, and to work among the common man, you have to keep that simplicity intact. So that is what I feel I should do.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
My question is, in recent times, there is a flood on electronic materials like blogs, sites, PDFs, etc. So many aspirants are bogged down by this information overload. So how much do you rely on electronic materials and paper materials like books, papers, magazines, etc.?
I did depend a lot on electronic materials, especially with Telegram and everything. You have a lot of materials available. But what I did was that I kept it to the bare minimum. I took what I needed, and anything else that was offered, I rejected it. So UPSC, I'm talking about this particular examination, you have a very clear syllabus given by the UPSC. And you have a very good examination pattern that you can understand from the previous year questions. So whatever was needed, I would take it. Everything else, I used to reject. So going into the flood with the plan will help you. But if you don't know the syllabus and if you don't know this examination, then you'll be bogged down by the number of materials that you have. So that is what I felt. And I always preferred physical books to online or electronic materials. So I did buy all the major books that was required, because I think that gives you a feeling about you're reading something significant rather than some PDF page. So I always preferred that, but again, it's completely your personal choice.
When working in a civil service, you have to think about ways to make better for the community. So can you tell me about a change you would like to implement for the society?
One thing is that, this I always tell in my other sessions also, I strongly believe we have a good system in place. But the problem is that it's not working. So wherever on paper everything is good, protection for women, we have strong laws, we have strong system, we have strong surveillance mechanisms, but then for some reason or the other, maybe because of the overload that is there, it's not working. So wherever I am posted, whichever department I am in, whichever position I'm holding, I would make sure that it works properly. And I'm very sure that if I do that, I can bring a lot of change in the society. And if I have to pinpoint a particular area, there are few areas that are very close to me. I would like to work in areas of women and child development, and climate change is an issue that's very close to me. So these are few areas I would like to work on, but then it's not in my hands. Wherever I am posted, I'll serve to the full of my capacity. That's all. Thank you.
My question is, what was your strategy for selecting an optional subjects, and also whether the subjects we gone through graduation will help us for selecting those optional subjects?
Okay, so my option was sociology. I didn't have any background in it. I'm a mechanical engineer. So I've seen people who are choosing their graduation subjects as optional, and that might give them an edge because they have to spend very little time on it. But then it doesn't really matters, because as I said, this is a long process and you have ample resources and ample guidance available to master any optional that you're choosing. So two criteria that you have to keep in your mind while choosing an optional. One is your interest. Don't pick any optional that doesn't suit you or that doesn't interest you, because you have to stay with it for your next 2-3 years. And you have to come back to it every now and then, and it's very crucial for your marks in the exam and getting you the rank of desired, your desired rank or desired cadre or desired service. So your interest matters a lot. But at the same time, practicality also matters, because if you say that your interest is in Pali language and that language doesn't have any connection with you don't even know the ABC of that language, and there is no material available, there is no guidance available, then it's impractical to choose it. So choose something that is practically doable, where you have ample guidance, or you have at least some people, some people have written the exam with this optional, and which is also scoring in the examination. So there are some options that are not high scoring. So just because you have an interest in it, don't choose it. Find a balance between your interest and practicality. And it need not be the subject of your graduation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. My
Good
name
morning.
is Jayesh. In one of your recent interviews, you had mentioned that one reason you were motivated to choose this profession is because you could do like betterment to the society. But as an engineer, you could also do the same. What special aspects did you see in civil services that can uniquely contribute to the welfare of our society?
Yeah. So if I'm an engineer, I'm working as an engineer, I can contribute a lot. That is very true. Same is the case with any other field. I can build better infrastructure, or I can do well in my corporate so that it adds to the economy of the country. I'll have good money coming, so I can donate it. I can also work in some NGO part-time. So these are the ways in which I can contribute. But if I'm a civil servant, what I'm doing is that I have a whole system to help me. So whatever change I have to bring, it's not in my individual capacity, but as a system. I'm bringing in systemic level changes. And another thing is that if you're at an individual level, the resources that you have is very limited. Here you have the government resources, you have the government money, government is giving money to spend on society. And that is something very unique. So we have the floods recently, many of you would have volunteered, you would have given donations, but if you had the support of the system with you, you could have brought in remarkable changes. And it's not limited to a single area or a single person or a single community. It's pan-India level change that you can bring. So that is one thing. And at the same time, being a civil servant, I might also become director of technical education one day, and I can also bring in more engineers. So that is also there. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. Congrats on your achievement.
Thank you.
So you explained all your failures, but there was some point where you were at your lowest. So at some point, did you feel like giving up? Like you just quit and go back to being the excellent mechanical engineer you are? Did you feel like quitting at some point?
Being an excellent mechanical engineer is still not very sure. But at the same time, yes, we all feel like quitting all the time. Especially in this examination, every other day you'll feel like quitting. But there is always this one thought that kept me going, that now that I've hit the rock bottom, there is no way down. It's always up from here. You don't have space to go down from here. You are at the bottom right now. So that thought was always there. And then I used to read a lot of, this is again very cliche, but I used to read a lot of motivational poems. And that helped me. If you've read If by Rudyard Kipling, that is one thing I've always pasted there. I used to read it all the time. And I realized that it's not about you being a civil servant or not. It's all about you being a good human being. And in the process, if I become a civil servant, well and good. And that way I got out of my hopelessness and everything. And yes, there are two voices in your head, that one will say quit and the other will be like don't quit. And if I feel like quitting, I'll look at my pile of notebooks and everything, and I'll see that I've worked so hard for this. For 3 years I've been studying. If I quit now, I'll always be a failure. I'll always be the person who failed UPSC prelims. I don't want to be that, and that thought was always there. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Hello.
Congratulations
Thank you.
welcome all. So my question is, you tell your internal conflicts where you're facing new thing, but when you enter into the IAS genre, then you said that you will get resources from government and everything. But when you enter into that IAS course where you're doing, then you have a pressure from the political parties, and you have your own vision, but the political parties do have their own vision. So how are you going to conflict that and come to your point?
So I believe that the political parties are also working for the country, and everyone is actually trying to contribute. And the government, nobody wants their own government to fail or become infamous for doing something wrong for the society. So political executive, again, they have the vote of the people. They are the representative of the people. We just cleared an examination. So ultimately, it's what they want, what the people want, and that is all that matters. So I believe that we'll have to work together and find a middle ground. Anything illegal or anything that is not in the norm, if they're forcing me to do it, I have all the protection from the Constitution of India to reject it, which will be done. But otherwise, there is no point in getting into unnecessary conflict with anybody. And we all know that political parties are a very important part of a democratic institution, and I'll have that respect for them. Thank you.
Quite often, from my experience, see, there is a gap between dreams actually. I couldn't define actually what dream is all about. Now see, I have my doubts whether these people carry their dreams, or their parents' dreams, or their friends' dreams. Right? We push on telling, sharpen on your objectives, work on it, and become what exactly you want to be. We say that. But there is, experience says it's something different. Somebody carries the dreams of parents. Right? Even today, many things, I would say very frankly speaking, they may not be able to do things by themselves. Even though filling up a form, they may not be able to do it. Because left and right, parents are there or somebody is there. That's a hardcore reality. So when driving this passion, right, this is one problem that we always anticipate, and we just tell them, right, to be harp on your dreams, work on it, consistently put your smart work, get it. Now, the role of parents, and one piece of advice to these people.
This is a very philosophical thing, because what is an individual? He or she is nothing but a culmination of everything around that person. So your parents, your society, your friends, everything is there inside you. And that voices is what makes you. There is nothing, that distinguishes your mental state from that of the society. We have a common consciousness. So I think that's very philosophical. I'm sorry. But yeah, so many of us live the dream of our parents. That is true. But as long as it's something that you also feel that you should strongly do, you should do that. But if you feel that there is a conflict between what your parents are saying and what you're saying, please be a rational human being there and use your logic to understand who is right and who is wrong, because parents might be wrong sometimes, they might be right sometimes. So just sleep on it, and make a good rational decision. That's all I have to say. And if I have to give an advice to everyone, again, I'm not a person, I just cleared an examination. I don't have the experience that you people have to give advice to these young people who are of probably my own age. But what I would say is that, again, don't quit. As I said, as my story said, please don't quit on your dreams, and not somebody else's. And please keep working hard. And if you feel that you're failing, please understand that you're doing something right. Because if you feel like you are succeeding or there is no challenge on your way, then you're doing something wrong. There will be challenges, failures only when you're doing something, when you're aiming for something very high. And keep your failures as your, as the paving stones for your success. And one more thing I want to say that's not related to this examination or success. It is that all of you should aim to be happy. It doesn't matter if you are just earning the bare minimum and if you're living a very mediocre life as per society standards. If you're happy, that is enough. You don't have to live the dream of anyone else, or you don't have to live the success of the society or in terms of society. And another thing is that learn to embrace your failures, because these days in newspaper we are seeing people cutting the throat of a person just cut the throat of his friend because he heard a no. And similarly, we are hearing people committing suicide because they failed in an examination. Please don't be that kind of person. Learn to hear no, learn to embrace it and move forward with it, and respect others. That's all. Thank you.
Now we are going to honor our guest. Let me invite Reverend Father Dr. Gino Joni Malekaran, our beloved Executive Director, Dr. George A.P., our Director, Vinod Manjula Sir, Madhu Sir, Francis Sir, and Sriram Sir to honor Miss Meera with a small token of our love and appreciations. Sir, please. Ma'am, please. Next, I would like to invite Honorary Secretary of Thrissur Management Association, Engineer Francis George sir, to propose the vote of thanks. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm supposed to deliver the vote of thanks. Now, normally, as per protocol, it starts with the person who presided over the function, but I'm going to break the protocol today. I'm going to get straight to the chief guest of the day, Ms. Meera K. It was a wonderful, inspiring talk. Now, we have heard several people talking about failures, but they interlace it with the success, how their failures led to the success, and they talk about the success a lot. This is the first time I'm listening to a person talk only about the failures. And yes, she did talk about getting to the success, but most of the time was spent on talking about failures and facing failures and drawing inspiration from that for going ahead. She spoke about hitting the rock bottom and getting up from there and clearing and becoming the top, getting into the top 10 within the country for UPSC. I think that was marvelous. And was it inspirational or not? That's it? All right. So I'm going to break the protocol again today. I am not going to thank Ms. Meera. I refuse to thank her. We all are going to do it together. May I request a standing ovation for Ms. Meera? Please. Please applaud. Thank you. Please be seated. I'm going to break the protocol again, a third time today. I think the most active participants, this is one of the most active participation that I've witnessed in a long time. I want to thank the students for asking very genuine questions. I don't think these were planted questions. I don't think these were spontaneous, and it was your eagerness to know the answers and to interact with the chief guest. So hats off to you. Now I'll come to the protocol. Okay. I would like to thank the president of this function, Reverend Father Dr. Gino, for presiding over the function and arranging for this in such a wonderful manner. This is the first week after you got back into the campus, and I think it was a very good session. I would like to thank the president of Thrissur Management Association, Engineer Vinod Manjula, for making this happen. You know, it was his idea to get Ms. Meera for this the student chapter interaction. I would also like to thank CMA Madhu, the student chapter coordinator, for making this happen. As you already heard from him, it's a very ambitious year for the student chapter of TMA. So thank you, CMA Madhu. I would like to thank Mr. Sriram, the director of Elite Group, and also the director of the institute, Dr. George. I hope I haven't missed out anyone. And the faculty, last but not the least, the faculty of SIMS. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you, sir. We are almost towards the end of this program. Let me call the SIMS choir to recite the national anthem.
Janagana mana adhinayaka jaya he Bharata bhagya vidada Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Banga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchchala Jaladhi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashish Mage Gahe Tava Jaya Gadha Janagana Mangaladayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidada Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He